pleasure for me to welcome you all here at the start of the year 2026 to leverage your and my professional reputation. This webinar is organized by the GlobalWo.MenHub, which is a non-for-profit organization under Belgium law, financed by its member and donations. So our vision is to reinvent gender equality by going from parity to synergy between women and men. And our mission is to implement this vision in practice by promoting effective policies, enhancing research and analysis, disseminating practical solutions like this one, and providing targeting training for both women and men. This webinar will be registered. Afterwards, I will cut the unnecessary things that we have always, and things like that, and then make the video good and upload it on YouTube. You can, if you ask during the class, you can ask questions via the chat, and Carla will ensure that there will be remaining time to ask questions after her lecture. Then Carla, thank you very much. We have been working hard behind the scene. And Carla is a senior brand strategist and communication expert with over 20 years experience in brand strategy, creative direction, and corporate communication. She's from Argentina, married with a German. No?
Yes.
So this is good to know because she is also multicultural or intercultural, and she works with leaders, founders, and organizations to design reputations and build brand legacies, aligning creativity, personal, and corporate branding to drive visibility, credibility, and long-term impact. And her motto is designing reputation that build trust and create lasting impact. I leave you to start your class.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, for taking this time to join this webinar. Thank you, Christine, for the introduction. So today we're going to talk about personal branding as a mindset. And when I say there is a mindset, what I mean with that is that we're going to talk about what are the settings of your mind that make the most of it when you craft your personal brand. So first of all, can you see my full screen? Yes? Okay. So I feel very passionate about this topic. And in my experience, personal branding is really a game changer for any type of career growth. So, but before we dive in, I would like to know a little bit more about you. So you can use the chat for a moment and share the country that you are joining from. And you can say if you are an entrepreneur or a founder, if you are in a career transition, maybe, I don't know, looking for a new role, moving countries like I did 9 years ago, or stepping into a new position, or if you are leading teams within companies. So I give you a few seconds to okay. So just to move on, thank you for sharing that. So I see that we are very multicultural, and also you have different interests, which I think is great. So I just want to, set a little bit the expectations about what we're going to talk today. And this session is not going to be only or especially about social media tricks or algorithms or how to post better to gain followers. So we're going to talk, of course, about our digital footprint, but it's not only about that. Basically, the main focus is to talk about personal branding that crafts reputations. And reputations is mainly how others perceive your value, your credibility, your impact over time. So it's kind of like, in an easy way to say, is the story that people tell about you when you are not in the room. And today will reflect also how this will reflect on how these stories form, how it travels, and how it shapes opportunities. So here. So reputation.
We don't see the presentation. Huh?
Okay, so let's restart. Apologize if I thought that you were. Here, and I will put to the full screen. And so now,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So what I was saying when we talk about reputation, and just is that, and let's go to that definition, what reputation means. Reputation is how others perceive your value, your credibility, and your impact over time. So this is the first idea that I want you to remember, and is that reputation doesn't just happen. Reputation is built by design. And it's not only the work of your job experience over years, it's not just what you have done or where you have worked or how long have you been doing whatever you do. Of course, those things matter, but this is not the whole story. So there are other elements shaping your reputation every single day. And this, we're going to see it in a few minutes. So what I want to be clear once again is the reputation, as I see it, is not built by default, but by design. And what I mean design is I mean intentionally. Is about owning your story. Is about being in control of your narrative instead of letting others randomly define it for you. So letting others, maybe they decide what are your main skills, what are your main skills, or what you are good at, or what you should be known for. So, because this is the thing, and it's when you are in control of your narrative, you are also in control of the opportunities that you create for yourself. And it means directly your message with intention, what you choose to highlight, what topics you repeat over time, and how your values are understood by others. So with this said, also reputation is a new currency. Why? Well, think about this for a second. What is a currency? Currency has value, right? And it allows access. It creates movements. And reputation works exactly in the same way. Your reputation opens doors and also can keep them closed, let's face it. It speeds things up or slow everything down. So it influences who trusts you, who recommends you, who thinks of you when an opportunity appears. And I think it's very important because very often decisions are made before you are in the room, before a meeting, before an interview, before a pitch, before even you introduce yourself. So in those moments, your reputation is already working on your behalf. This happens. So that is why reputation is a new currency, because it circulates, it travels through conversations, it creates leverage, even when you are not there. So it's the way also how others experience you. No, reputation is not only something that we only manage, but it shapes opportunities, but it's also creating a way how others perceive you. When I say experience you, it's more like about branding. We say how they experience a brand. So either it's a product, it's a service, or it's a person. It depends how people experience you, it's the perception they will have about you. And this is connected to one of the first rules that you learn when you study communication. I study communication, and that is we are always communicating. So whether you are aware of not, even when you don't communicate, you communicate. Silence communicates, absence communicates, and people start forming ideas. So here are some questions that we can start asking ourselves to start shaping this mindset. And is, what do others really understand about what I do? What do others really understand what I do? What do they think I bring to the table? What is the value that I bring to the work? And for what reasons people remember me? So these questions, they really matter. They are not neutral positions. And your digital footprint, I said at the beginning that we will not talk much about social media and tricks, but we can, of course, not. We need to accept that our digital footprint exists and is part of that perception. So, and sometimes shows up before we meet someone in person, before a conversation, before a decision, before an opportunity. So for example, if you're applying for a job, well, before anyone meets you, most likely recruiters will look at your LinkedIn profile. And they don't only look to your CV, they look how you describe your experience, they look how what you highlight as achievements, how you talk about your work, what you seem to value on that. Or for instance, another example, if you are starting your own business, people look at your profile to understand what kind of experience do you have, or what you know about your field, or how you position yourself as a thought leader, what you share, what you comment. And they already start, shaping an opinion about you. But if you lead a team, just I bring me some examples because I see some diversity in this audience, people will start also forming an idea of what type of leader you are, or what vision you have, what stories you tell, what really matters to you. So all of that creates a perception. And with that perception, we start creating or forming our reputation. So those are signals, that not only also stay online, they travel into real conversations, into real decisions, real opportunities. So that is why your digital footprint doesn't replace your personal interaction, but it prepares it. And that is why also it's important to understand how it works. Okay, so Christine introduced me already very well, so I don't want to repeat a little bit who I am, but she already explained that I have 2 decades of experience working in brand and communication strategy, supporting big organizations across industries and markets and cultures. And I'm sharing this for a reason, and it's because reputation never lives in one place. One of the opportunities I had is to work cross-channel. That means presentations, event, pop-up stores, digital campaigns, leadership communication. And what I have seen again and again is that people don't experience brands, either a product or the service, or leaders or professionals in silos. Sorry. They connect the dots. And when those dots don't connect so well, trust breaks. So that is why I'm a strong believer that this multidimensional view of reputation is important. And I also think that the same principles that build strong brands can be applied to people. And with this length, we will continue this conversation. So, as I said, we live and we operate in different dimensions, and we need to be aware of that. It's not just digital. It's not only one single place. So it's important why I mentioned this, because we are talking about personal branding mindset, and it's important to start thinking about that when we start working in these settings to craft our personal brand. So multi-dimension is one, no? And as I said before, there are conversations in meetings, in events, and networking events, in also emails, social media, of course, your whole online presence and recommendations. So, and this I want to pause a second, because as I said, I really believe in this multi-dimensional space. And one of the reasons why reputation has become so critical is because we live in a context where people often come into contact with you through different channels, more than ever. So they don't sometimes fully know who you are yet, or they don't fully understand what you do, but they are already forming an opinion of what they see, what they experience. And that impressions starts to make sense to them because it shows up across different dimensions. And that is why this understanding in this multi-dimensionality matters so much across channels. Because reputation today is not built in one moment, but it's built through patterns that people recognize over time. And okay, now we know that, but what is important is also to say that this affects most of the people, like affects entrepreneurs, founders, leaders, job seekers, companies as well, especially their employee or the brand employees department. And based on that, they trust on you or not. It depends on visibility. It also shapes decisions. So basically, nowadays, almost everyone is affected, is building a reputation, and they need to craft a personal brand in a way. So when we talk about reputation, it's built in layers. And I see that for many years in companies. I truly believe that, again, these principles apply to that. So when we look at reputation, there is if it's a person or it's a brand, a product or a service, always comes to these three things. The first layer is clarity. So clarity means being able to answer very simply what I do, who you help, and why it matters. So again, it's just in a very simple way. You need to be able to explain what you do, who you help, and why it matters. So clarity is this clear position that aligns these three elements. Once you have that layer done, then you go to the second layer. And it's consistency, this cohesive narrative across all touch points and channels. So consistency is about how your story shows up everywhere. In conversations, I said, in meetings, digital, online, emails. So, and it's not saying more, but it's saying the same thing in a very clear way. So first of all, you are clear, and then you are consistent. And that helps to build the third layer, that is credibility. So credibility is what you build over time. It doesn't happen from one day to another. And when clarity and consistency are aligned with real experience, is when people start trusting you without needing to ask twice what you do, how you help. And when these three layers work together, then your reputation starts working for you. It starts basically opening doors for you, and you start growing. And growth is a very important part also. So just to activate a little bit the audience, we can do a poll. And the question is, what's blocking your growth? And here we're going to share a poll. I want to know. So I said it before, with these three layers are in place, things start moving, opportunities appears, growth happens, but sometimes it doesn't happen. You think that you are doing all well and it doesn't happen. So what do you think might block your growth? It could be low visibility, lack of clarity, a weak network, skill set. So just take a few seconds.
You are answering it, huh?
I do not have it. Lack of clarity, lack of clarity. Okay. Someone else wants to include something in the chat?
A little bit all.
All, yeah, I hit earlier. Yeah, lack of clarity. Okay, so yeah, of course, you are right. Just yeah. So definitely it's not a lack of a skill. Like most of the times, what blocks growth is not this lack of skills. I mean, people are capable and they know how to do their work. Also, it's not lack of professional experience. Many of you have a solid career, strong backgrounds, real results. It's not a poor performance. Actually, in fact, many high performers struggle the most with this. So yes, of course, is clarity. And when I say lack of clarity, this is what I mean. It's when someone asks you what you do and your answer again is too long and a little bit confusing. And it's when you have done so many things or you have many roles, but you don't know, which part really matters today. And people, when they say you are good, but they are not sure at what, is when your experience makes sense to you, but others don't get you. And if you move to another country, like I did, probably you have experienced that because even you need to explain something that is not in the country that you are living. Or in the case of a founder with a strong product, for instance, and when they try to explain it, people don't fully get it, and sometimes this momentum slow down. Or we women in career transition, who has experience, skills, motivation, but struggle, to position themselves clear to this new context, this new market. So just I want to be clear, like clarity is not about only simplifying who you are. It's not actually that. When we talk about clarity in terms of personal branding, that means is to help others quickly to connect the dots, to understand where you bring value and why it matters now. So once clarity is in place, everyone's visibility, network, opportunities start working differently. But how this lack of clarity feels like. So, and these are basically comments that I hear all the time. And it's like, I don't know how to explain my experience. I have done many things. I don't know how to explain it. I do the work, but still I'm missing from key conversations, especially with leaders. Like, I don't know when I was not invited to that meeting, why I'm not leading that project, why they are not taking me to that key meeting with a business partner. I believe in my ideas, but others don't fully get it. But I think it's a very good business idea that I have. And my story doesn't fit into a single box. And again, because I see people from different countries, probably if you move to another country, also your story doesn't fit in one single box, which is good, but it still is a struggle. So, and what I want with these examples is just you understand that are not only, isolated frustrations. They are patterns. And when I say patterns, I mean that different people, different roles, different industries, but it's the same situation is repeated itself all the time. So, for example, someone is doing this good job, they deliver, they are reliable, but again, when someone needs to lead a new project or be part of a key meeting, suddenly their name doesn't come up first. So, or this founder trying to explain this idea and people nod, but nothing moves forward. Or a professional has a rich, complex background, but struggles to translate it into a clear narrative. So others don't know how to place them. So different stories, but same patterns. So, and when clarity is missing, people don't know how to engage with your values. So, but clarity, has a cost. And this is not abstract, to be honest. When people don't get you, things slow down. You are overlooked projects, as I said. Also, others start defining your story for you. So sometimes even with good intentions, trying to helping you, sometimes not. Your value is recognized, but sometimes too late. And when I say late, I mean after decisions were already made. And yeah, sales take longer sometimes, or people need more explanations and more meetings and more reassurance of your business, hiring takes longer because these decision makers are not fully sure if you are the right person or not. Even when people don't get hired, it often, takes longer to be truly trust or step into a new level of responsibility, which is, of course, quite frustrating. And all of these frictions, I don't think they are intentional, right? We don't want to be overlooked for projects or help them or let our narrative be defined by someone else. We don't do it sometimes based on these common assumptions that we have. Again, it's not very conscious. This assumption that, look, my work is good, it will speak for itself. I have done this. Or we say, just everyone knows me in the market that I'm working or in my company. Or sometimes I don't want to overexpose myself because people think that they might be that personal branding is related to become, content creator and post over the time, which is not the case. So what is important to clarify is that personal branding is not self promotion. It's not talking about yourself all the time. It's not, as I said, posting more or being louder. Sometimes it doesn't match with your personality. It's not about being visible everywhere. It's not definitely to be the loudest voice in the room. In fact, visibility, as we just said, without this clarity, creates more confusion. This person that is posting all the time, but we don't understand exactly what that person wants to say. So it's not about volume. So what's this personal branding? And we talk so far about clarity, we talk about be consistent, we talk about be credible, be visible, of course, in a way. But personal branding is about to be intentional, and it's a mindset. You stop living how you are perceived to chance. You start making conscious decisions. What do I want to be known for? This is the question that we can ask ourselves to start helping to change these settings in our mind. What do I want to reinforce what I'm doing? What do I want people to understand about me with intention? And it's strategic, it's clear, it's trusted, and it's authentic. Because strategic, I mean that you are not communicating randomly, but you have a direction. You know what you want to say. It is clear. People understand what you do and where you add value without this effort. It's trusted because what you say, how you act, and what others experience are aligned. It's authentic because it's not a performance, it's not something fake. It's consistent with who you are and how you work. It's about you. So, of course, it's authentic. And it's where it all comes together, basically. It's where with your story, either personal, professional, both, your background, your experience, what shapes how you think and work, connect with your current role or business or experience, and they connected with your audience, the people who need to understand your values in order to open doors, to have opportunities. So, and these three are connected. And communication becomes easy to explain yourself, you know. So people don't need these extra explanations. They understand who you are, they understand what you do, and they understand why it matters. But at the beginning of the presentation, I said that also is a mindset. So why personal branding is a mindset? It's these internal settings you operate from. And what is important to say, these settings are not fixed. A mindset can be identified, can be adjusted, and can be trained. So first you need to identify, and here are some examples, you know. What is the mindset? Is others define you or you define yourself? You communicate reactively or with intention. You choose channels randomly or based on your audience. I must say that I had many clients that, okay, I need to be in TikTok, but their profile, you know, doesn't match. So you don't need to be in all possible channels. Just choose what also makes sense to you and your audience. So part of this mindset is also like other fills the gap or I give context so they understand easier and faster my story. So everything feels random, you know, and I go to this event and I do this webinar and then I post something on LinkedIn, or maybe I don't know what to do and I put a like or a congrats, or you decide what matters. So once this mindset is in place, and you need to go to the next step, and is this structure. This is basically, this diagram shows, it's very simple diagram. It shows how, you know, we think about personal branding. And they're not separate pieces. They are a system. When these four things, you know, work together, because they are already connected, then your brand is stronger. So we start with the why. What drives you forward? In branding, we say the purpose, but it's like this why I do what I do or what I want to do. Where people connect with you. And then is when we became more intentional with the selection of the channels. What and how, what you offer and how you do it. And who, just to understand, of course, your audience, who you're speaking to. So let's have another exercise. Now you don't need to share anything in the chat, but it's like kind of like a clarity snapshot, just that we can, it's really, it's not a test, it's not a practice. It's like we start training this personal branding mindset. So, and noticing these settings and how they work in your mind. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, one by one. For each question, I will give you 1 minute. So really no pressures, no perfect answer, but so you can train about it. And it's not, again, to having the final version today, but you start thinking about it. So let's start with that. The first question is, my experience in 1 word. And you have a minute. 1 word can be 2 words. Again, you don't need to write it in the chat. It's for you. It could be strategy, execution, innovation. No, but it's not about labels. This is important. It's about starting to notice how you see yourself. Okay, now let's move to the second one. And the second one is the room I want to be in the next 12 months. And when I say room, I don't mean a physical space, of course. It could be a leadership room, a decision-making room. It could be a boardroom, founder's room, even a new professional circle that you are not part yet. So ask yourself, where do I want my voice to be here? Where do I want my opinions to matter? And again, don't overthink. Okay, last but not least, the topic I want to be associated with. So it's not everything you know, not everything you do. It's a topic you want people to think of when your name comes up in a conversation. So if you are done, we can move on. Again, you don't need to share this with everyone, with anyone, sorry. This is just for you. But remember that clarity is something you identify, you adjust, and then you train it over time. So these exercises push us to really think in one word, what do we want to do, one topic. Okay, with this said, I said at the beginning of this webinar that reputation lives across multi-dimensions, conversations, meeting, emails, recommendations, and online as well, that every interaction creates a perception that, and that is why these 3 questions matters, because it's your expertise, the room you want to be, the topic you want to know before travels with you across all these spaces. And now we're going to talk a little bit, of course, about this digital dimension, because, of course, I will contradict myself now, and I will talk about our digital footprint. But it's true, right? Like this digital dimension matters more than sometimes we want to admit. And there are 4 points that matter when we talk about the digital dimension of your personal brand. And the first one is to be searchable. Like, people need to be able to find you. What is your role, your expertise, this topic that you want to be known for? The second one is you need to be scalable.
Carla, sorry, Justine has a question. Can you explain, Justine, what you didn't understand?
Yeah, in the last slide, sorry to interrupt, but I just didn't want to miss it because I thought that was really intriguing about what you said, that clarity is something you identify, adjust, and the third one is what?
You improve. You improve. You identify and adjust and improve. What I mean is, like, you don't, once you have this setting, it doesn't come up immediately. You need to learn and you need to train yourself, especially when we talk about settings in our mind. It takes a while.
Yeah. Thank you.
If something is unclear, of course, you can always interrupt me. or I answer at the end, of course.
Thank you.
But we are improving all the time, no? Like brands evolve all the time. If you think about like well-known brands, they have evolved. So imagine with people, like we evolve all the time. So back with this digital dimension, we said that we need to be searchable and we need to be skinnable. That means that people don't read line by line. They scan you and they decide in seconds if you are relevant or not to them. So it's important that we take these 4 points into consideration when we think about our digital presence. The third point is we need to be consistent. So what you say, how you show up, what others say about you, to tell the same story. And then, of course, the 4th point is interpreted. People need to interpret you correctly, because if you don't define your message, others will interpret it for you and maybe not how you want to be known for. So digital dimension, searchable, scannable, consistent, and interpreted. There are some trends. I will not very dive much, but I think it's worth, since we are talking about digital dimension, to talk about some trends for this year, especially when it's related to these algorithms. No, again, I will not go with a lot of details, but I think that it's important to know, especially this year, that the algorithm is not longer rewarding volume. It's rewarding clarity and relevance. So these are these 4, for parents matters much when we talk about thought leadership today. And the first one is quality over quantity. That means that the algorithms, especially when we talk about LinkedIn, for instance, read signals over value. That means that clear ideas, clear positioning, content that people actually stop and read, and how long people stop to read your content matters more than how many times you post. So example, for instance, one clear post that explains what you stand for does way more than 10 posts that say nothing. The second one, just to consider for your digital dimension, is that you need to make expertise visible. So if your expertise is not explicit, the algorithms can read it. If the algorithms can read it, then people won't either. So you need to name what you stand for. You need to be very clear on that and consistent. The third trend for this year is that we say stories, not just tips. Tips are easy to consume, but also they're easy to forget. So stories show how you think. They create context, deep trust. And when I say stories, I'm not talking about Instagram stories. It's just your story to explain a little bit more things. So again, they show how you think, and that builds trust. And then the third trend is that the algorithms pay attention to real reactions. That means conversations. If people save your content, if people coming back to your content, all these behaviors, it shows the relationship that you reach with your audience. So, for instance, a meaningful conversation with 5 right people, it's worth more than 1,000 of passive views, likes, emojis, even in LinkedIn. So what to avoid is volume without position, post randomly. Expertise without narrative Others see pieces of information, but not the bigger picture. And last, activity without directions. You are active everywhere, commenting, posting, sharing, but it's not intention behind. So the things you need to avoid. And now that we talk about personal branding, why it's a mindset, why it matters, why it's important, and data help us to zoom out that. Because what the numbers show is not about algorithms or platforms only, but the human behavior. And what shows is, for instance, that more than 80% of the people trust business whose founders are visible. They feel connected to the brand. Also happens in companies, when leaders are visible, when they understand how the leaders in companies talk, when they're leaders in general. So, and also shows then more than 60% say the thought leader builds trust. And of course, it makes sense because people trust what they understand, they trust what they feel consistent, and they trust what they feel intentional. But visibility is not neutral. And what I mean by that women are less likely to share achievements on social media, especially here it's about LinkedIn, 40%. That women leaders are more likely to be mistaken for some juniors. So we're already facing that bias. And good news is that companies with gender diverse leadership team performs better. So what I mean by that, and I wanted to show you a little bit this data, is that reputation isn't gendered, but access to visibility still is. So something to think. So when we share visibility, we have more women in leadership. We have more female entrepreneurs. And let's face it, we have healthier organizations. And I'm saying that for women organizations here, where I live in Düsseldorf in Germany. And so it is important to work also in a shared visibility. And it's not about competing for a space, not at all, but it's about building it together. And of course, this affects also personal branding. So, because I think we are the time, yeah. I want to leave a few minutes for questions. But what I would like that you take from these conversations is that that you leave this one last reflection. Everything what we talk about, clarity, visibility, mindset, reputation, it comes with one simple idea, and it's every room you walk into, physical or digital, you are already being perceived. And the question is not if people see you, they do, but the question is whether you are shaping how they see you or not. Because again, personal branding is not about exposure only, but it's about intention. I always say that is to be in the right rooms, by the right people for the right reasons. So just one last thing, because that I would like to add. First of all, after this session, you will receive by email is a visibility reality check. So it's a short reflection that to help you to see where you are today and what kind of visibility you need next. So you will receive that. Christine will send it. So, and of course, if you want to go deeper, we will be running from April on a 6 workshop series to build your personal brand end to end. So it will start end of April, and registration, I believe, is already open.
Yeah, it's online, yes.
Exactly.
I can send the link as well, but yeah.
Exactly. So, and thank you very much for being here today. You can also contact me, visit my website. Also, just send a question if you want to know more about these one-on-one consultancy programs that also I'm running, and just get connected through LinkedIn. So thank you all, and I will.
Thank you very much, Carla. So it's the first time in my life that I hear a talk about reputation only, and how you build your reputation to become a brand. It was for me a discovery, but I do not know. Please feel free to say what you would like to ask or to comment.
So if someone wants to, you can write on the chat, or you can
Yeah.
just speak up, use your mic. It's okay as well.
Justina?
Yeah, thank you so much. This was really super interesting, and also I learned a lot. The one thing that I had a question on is these are all very great tips around how to position yourself. Some of the clarity that we think we need to achieve to, get ahead of our reputation is so it's subjective, right? So how would you advise the feedback that comes in on improving, or at least getting more clear, plays a part in that? And how would you go about, getting that kind of feedback, or at least getting an idea of the reputation or the tips folks might have? I mean, it's not all, you cannot just, it's all subjective to yourself, but it's also within a context of other people. So I don't know if there's any tips or with regard to making, the evolution with feedback.
Yeah, I mean, of course you can, as I said, it starts always with you. It's like more like your start your journey with you and your story, and asking these questions that I mentioned, always like, and just write sentence like what I do and how I do it, why I do it, what value I add to my work, to understand who your audience is, who is your audience. Just write, and this is important, and then prioritize. This is the toughest part. But I think you can always, once you identify your audience, you can always go and ask to people, also people that you know and you trust, and say, look, what do you think, that I'm good at it? What I do and how I do it. And then you can start comparing what you have. And this will give you at least a glimpse. Like, are they perceiving me like I think I do or not? But first of all, it needs to start with you. You always start working because it's your story. It's who you are. Not just personal brand is not to pretend someone that you are not. It's just to have a clear idea how to express that. So I will start with the an introspective work, if you want to, and then just ask people and see the feedback I get from colleagues, from boss, from friends, from, business partners, to see if they understand the same, to ask the same questions that I ask myself, to ask them there. Of course, that's why I also work that, because it is important to get someone else's perspective. They guide us to us, but this could be something that at least to start is a good point. Right, if I answer your question.
Yes, thank you. Indeed.
And just another thing is like, again, it's always about evolution. So we craft this and we craft this. And even if you work in your LinkedIn profile, it might happen that you go several times and you change your about, and that is not a problem. It takes a while to train that. That is why I say it's a mindset that you need to train and you improve. So this is a good exercise. You will get this visibility check. Also has a pyramid. You will see it. And those questions, ask those questions, where I want to be in 12 months. Why? There are simple questions, kind of when you start studying communications, you ask yourself, the why, the what, the how. So I think it's important to go back to that. So, someone has a question?
Yeah. Any other questions or comment?
If
Or
not,
think that you missed and that you would like more information upon, or you had another idea of the clan way, it's also helpful, helpful.
I think these workshops is part of that also. It's kind of more guided. You know, you get people's feedback as well, Justine, and then you can really train that. So it's well crafted. Well, if it's not a question, then we can go to have lunch.
Okay. Then we can have lunch, a good lunch, hopefully, and see you soon or hear from you soon. But what I will do, of course, is to send first the visibility check to the person who participated here, and afterwards I will send also the video so that you can have it, and also a summary of what has been said. Via a post of the association that I will share to you as well by email. Okay?
Yeah, I think someone, sorry, asked one more question that is about the workshops. How long do you spend in digital reputation? Usually we work first, the first workshop is about this foundation, because these questions, they really take a while to understand and craft this why and what and how. Once you have this built, your brand foundation, the second part is the narrative. How you communicate that, how you craft your story, your storytelling, and then it's like how this is translated on social media, mostly LinkedIn. And then it's like one workshop focused 100% on that. And then we can move forward to other, like to think about audience and channels, understand, you know, what thought leadership means for each of us. And then at the end, the last workshops is to get like to work in a reputation, I call it a reputation activation plan, you know, how this will bring to life. And these are concrete actions, how we're going to do, what we need to do next week, next month, you know, just, okay, it doesn't stay in an abstract way, but we do that. But to answer your question, and is the third workshop is focused on digital reputation. It's kind of also we work on our LinkedIn mainly, but of course, because it's a workshop, if someone wants to work in another social platform, social media platform, we can do it. But because we're talking about personal branding and thought leadership, LinkedIn is kind of the main platform on that. Just I wanted to answer that. Exactly, they are in the link.
Yeah.
Okay, then thanks so much for being here. And if you have any questions also, you can contact me through LinkedIn. You have my information, and just let's stay in touch. And thank you, Mr. Fred. Bye. Bye. Bye.
GlobalWo.MenHub.
Okay, hello.